Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? I am going live today to talk to you guys. I always talk to you guys about the narcissist. So let me just get let me see if I can there we go. See if I can get my gimbal to stop following me. So if you're here, say hello. Today we're going to talk about five things I tried, or I don't know if it's five, but let's check. I tried these things to save my marriage and they didn't work. So we're going to talk about it. And so if you're here, say hello. Of course, always tell me where you are watching from. And of course, please tell me if you have any questions about narcissistic abuse, healing, all that stuff. My focus is always on red flags and then healing. So I'm trying to do a couple of things here. I'm going to talk to you guys about I tried these five things to save my marriage and they didn't work. Now, oh, thank you. Hi, Netta. Oh, you're in Chicago. That's awesome. Hello. Oh, Southwest Florida. Beautiful. So these are some of the things that I tried. Look, I didn't know if you guys have heard my story. I didn't know that he was a narcissist until a few months after we got divorced because yes, narcissistic abuse is very insidious and I just didn't even know what happened. Like I literally left my marriage going, well, number one, I was going, yay, I'm finally rid of him because it was horrible. But the other thing was that I thought was difficult was I just didn't understand why we couldn't make things work. Like I didn't know how else to explain myself. And also, narcissists don't want to understand. They don't care if you have a PowerPoint presentation that says, "Hey, you're treating me like crap. Could you not?" Or could you not mess around with other women? Things like that. They don't get it. They don't understand. And they don't want to. So, hi, joining from Nashville. Hello. No, exactly, Jeffrey. We said at the same time. They don't want to understand or know what's going on. They don't care. Especially like if you are setting a boundary or you're giving them like, "Hey, I feel like this is going on and it's not helping our marriage." Look, they don't want to be told what to do. And definitely I was told that I was the controlling one, but what I'm understanding now is that people who benefit from you not having boundaries will always call you controlling or difficult. I have been called difficult or too much all of my life. And what I know now is if you think I'm too much, go find less. I'm okay with that. Yeah, they don't want to. I the woman I love has gone. Jazzy Monkey, tell me a little bit more about that. You can't have a logical discussion with a narcissist or debate. It'll be like a hamster wheel going around. Yes. They love to use word salad. Word salad is used to describe or to confuse you. They just say a bunch of words. They will twist and turn everything. So you are running in a circle. And then, of course, if you've ever had this debate, we used to have semantic debates where I would say something, and because I didn't say the correct word, the perfect word, the whatever, then we were having a fight about that. And it drove me absolutely insane. So after I got divorced, I was actually going through my phone, cleaning out pictures, looking at my notes because I'm a journaler. I highly recommend that you do therapy and also coaching, but I also recommend you do journaling. Journaling gets the thoughts out of your head. It helps you process things. It helps you dream for the future. But keeping it in your head really makes you ruminate about things. And so I really recommend that you journal your thoughts and feelings and all that. And I have an Amazon shop full of journals that I've created for you guys, every kind of flavor, guided, not guided, all those things. One that matches my book. I love creating those things. So I have all of those in there for you. So one of the first things, or one of the things I saw in my notes in my phone was about a year and a half before we decided to get divorced. And they were a list of strategies for me to try. Like looking back, I'm like, this is so sad and depressing. You know what? Excuse me 1 second. Well, I'm going to put my computer on sleep so no one tries to bust through. Okay. So these strategies were very depressing going back looking at them. But when I saw them, I'm like, oh, that's how low I was. So we're going to talk about some of the strategies I used to try to save my marriage. And remember, what I thought was my issue. I was the only one at fault. Everything that was a problem in our marriage was because of me. So this is what I knew, and this is what I was being told. So the first one is oops, trying to keep my notes up while I do this. The first one is don't comment on anything he says. Like what? This was my marriage 30, almost 32 years in. Like, don't comment on anything he says. But this is what it shows me. It shows me that every single thing I was doing, single thing I was saying was annoying to him. And he made it very clear that what I had to say was number one, nobody cared, especially him, which that's the only person I wanted to care. So that nobody cared what I had to say. It wasn't important. And to him, me talking about things felt like a demand was being put on him. And, they don't want to have boundaries. And like I said at the beginning, people who have benefited from you not having boundaries are going to call you difficult. They're going to tell you to be quiet. They're going to tell you that nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Um, I'm reading the comments because once this goes live, you won't have the comments anymore. Oh my God, I bought so many guides how to treat a man. Turned out the problem was the man. God. Look, we're not man haters over here. We're abuse haters. Okay. So don't get it twisted. We're not man haters. Yeah, you tried that too. Yeah. It's to me when I saw that, and it was about a year and a half before we decided to get a divorce. Oh, it hit me in the feels because I was like, oh, poor 2021 Laura. She was desperate. She was trying anything. She was trying anything. And to have a relationship where don't comment on anything he says, what the hell kind of relationship is that? That's not okay. But what I was finding was if I commented, then he got upset. If I said something, he got upset. And if he got upset, that was not what I wanted. I wanted him to be happy with me. I was desperate. I was living off of breadcrumbs and hope. Let me tell you about breadcrumbs. You guys know breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs is that intermittent reinforcement they give you to keep you on the hook to make you think that things are okay. You'll starve to death. You will starve to death if you're only eating breadcrumbs. And you know what you can do? You can go buy your own loaf of bread, metaphorically and really. Okay, the woman I love has gone back with her narcissistic husband for the sake of her three children. She filed for divorce and then he looped her back in by love bombing her. She was surviving on breadcrumbs. And it's very common. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit. Oh, thank you for saying hi from New Zealand. That's awesome. Let me touch on that for a second. What we're teaching our children is that it's okay to be treated the way we're being treated. So they are going to end up maybe, they're not formed in narcissists just like that, but you know, they can learn that this is how you treat your wife, and women, this is how you should be treated. So for the sake of the children, it's not a thing anymore. Statistically, we know that it's healthier for kids to be in two different households where I'm going to put a disclaimer on this, where both parents are healthy. Look, the narcissist is not going to be healthy, but the amount of healing I've had with my children has made a difference in their life. To come out of that, not be actively abused and be able to say, I'm so sorry, and then show them the real way to be in this world. Because I used to be angry, screamy mom, throwing things, kicking things. I was reacting to my abuse. And because I was actively not supported. And so they saw that. They saw that. And I don't want that to be how they live. Yeah, literally choking on breadcrumbs. Yes. All right. Was in a 24-year marriage, didn't know he was a narcissist until after the divorce. Just ended a 5-year relationship with another guy who was gaslighting me for no, just another narcissist. I'm so sorry. And since you're on here, I just want to encourage you that, to keep doing the work for yourself so that you can heal, so that you can really start seeing those red flags. Though covert narcissists are really super sneaky. I have to tell you though, my narcissist radar is very good. Someone told me yesterday that they're leaving a narcissist. And let me tell you, I saw one picture of the guy and I knew a little bit of information. And I said, he's a narcissist. Why? I just have it now. I can see it now. There were some situations that this person was in, and I said, yeah, they're being abused. They're being psychologically manipulated, and I can tell. And I was right. I'm not like happy about that, but I was right, and they're getting out. So that's good. That's the good part. Hold on. I'm trying to get, okay. Oh, yes. No win situation. Can't talk is being a nobody, talk and there is a fight. Yes, exactly. So like they want you to be a piece of furniture, which frankly, it's ridiculous. And then the same talking out the other side of their mouth. My ex used to say, like, hey, let's go sit in the backyard. Loved sitting in my backyard. Like I created such a nice little sanctuary. Um, love sitting in the backyard after you got home from work. The weather in Las Vegas this time of year is very mild. And so we'd sit back there. Even in the summer, we would if the sun wasn't beating down, and just hang out and chit chat. But it just got to be where it was like the let's tell Laura what's wrong show. And I didn't want to spend any more time with him. But then they tell you you're no fun. You don't ever want to spend time with me. And I want to debate things with you. And I was like, he wants to debate with me? Like, it didn't matter if I agreed with him. There were things that we agreed on in politics, like who I am now and how I used to think was different. But we had differing opinions on politics. And even if I agreed with him on something, he would get furious with me because he'd say, like, well, you didn't used to think that way. And I'm like, did you know people can learn about something and then change their mind? That's the problem I feel like we're having in society today is that we can't learn about each other's point of view and either change our mind or at least have empathy for the other person. Because we don't necessarily have to change our mind. Once you recognize it, it can't be unseen. Yeah. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's, yeah. And you say they are everywhere. Well, they are everywhere. So you have to be careful. This is the thing for me is know who you are, set healthy boundaries, and then also love yourself. Okay. Because I had no or low self-esteem. And then I did not know boundaries because I thought boundaries were what you what you are telling other people to do. That is not what boundaries are. Boundaries are what you will do if someone continues. So if someone's continuing to talk to you about your body or your weight or commenting on what you're eating or the way you do things in your home or things like that, or like where you send your kids to school, whatever it is, then what will I do? Well, I'm not going to have a relationship with that person or I'm going to limit my time with them, things like that. And that's the difference. I'm trying to use my cursor on my phone. I'm also recording this. It's going to go on my news. So I'm trying something new. It's going to go on my news feed, of course. After we're done with the live, it'll be on the news feed. And so if you see it, of course, say hello, ask any questions, because unfortunately, these questions won't be there anymore. I don't understand that, Instagram. Fix that. But the other thing is, I am recording on Zoom. And so it will be up on Zoom later on. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it up. I think I'll put it up on Monday. And that way you guys will be able to listen to all of these tips on my YouTube channel. So did you know I have YouTube? And I don't know if it will work right now, but if you are watching the replay on this, If you comment the word YouTube, you will get a link to my YouTube channel. Did you know that I also record the podcast? And so today's a new episode. So if you guys want to watch me interview my guest, you can go to YouTube and you can see it. Okay. And I'm kind of slow on these comments, so they may not make sense. Exactly. Yes, totally understand that I was always quiet, walking on eggshells through the marriage. Yeah, it's so depressing. So depressing. Well, that's the way we survive. This is the thing is we have to have, grace and empathy for that person that we were because we were in survival mode. We didn't know any better. Even if we did know better, even if we did know what was going on, we were in survival mode. I was always the third wheel, or when we went out here, was always flirting with waitresses. Oh my God. Yeah, so if you watch, I put up a video last night. People often ask me if I, like, well, forgive them, and I mean my ex and his new wife, or what I think about her as far as, she wasn't at fault. Because there are people who get bamboozled. Hello. But she was a friend and she sat across the table from me. She knew it was happening. Of course, he was feeding her lies that I was a terrible wife and he was in a terrible marriage. And this woman was going to save him from the terrible wife. So, and it's a very common story. That's what narcissists do. They have to play the victim. And that's part of how they loop the new one in. So, anyway, I posted a video on that. If I talk about something, it's usually because I hear you guys talking about it. You guys are commenting on it. You guys are DMing me, and I want to share my point of view. I'm 3 years out, and I am not perfect. I am not completely healed. I don't know if there's any such thing, but I have made a lot of progress, and I want you guys to know what's going on. And I want to help you. Yeah, always with the flirting. It makes me sick. It makes me sick. And he would just tell me, I was always been a flirty guy. And I would say, like, but I don't like it. And he'd be like, well, there's nothing going on. You can trust me. Oh, I can trust him. He probably put in their wedding vows that they're just friends. I don't trust anybody anymore. Like, I was so bamboozled, I allowed it to happen right in front of me. Yes, that's what boundaries are. What will you do? Not what will they do? What will I do if someone continues to okay, so you can tell people, hey, like, could you not talk about what I'm eating? Like, think about this for the holidays. Oh, you're having a second piece of pie? Things like that. No. Like, can you not comment on that? And for women, like we're always being talked about our weight or our clothing or stuff like that, which I don't think is terrible, but be careful that that's the only thing that you guys are talking about because it's just how we've been societalized. And I want to be known for more than that. And when I was first dating, which I'm not dating, but when I was first dating, guys on the apps are like, you're so beautiful. I don't give two shits. Like, I want you to tell me something of substance. Do you think, oh, you're so beautiful is going to get you anywhere? No, it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not even going to get you on a date with me. And I had to break that down with my therapist. Like, why does that bother me? Well, because that doesn't mean anything to me because I already know how much I love myself. So I don't need somebody doing that, saying that. And also, can I have more substance than that? Like being told I'm beautiful, that's not enough. That's not enough for me. So I could be overcorrecting, but you never know. Yes, I had that too. An opinion was supposed to last a lifetime, even if new information or life changes made things look different. His opinions, of course, were supposed to be mine too. Of course. I did a I did a video when the we had the election last year. And let me tell you, there's women who may or may not know they're in abuse who are bullied by their partner to vote the way they want to vote. Their partner votes. And I told like look, we can be brainwashed into thinking like I'm going to know who you voted for. So I made a video and I'll do it probably at the midterms and all that stuff to say no one knows who you're voting for. So if you want to make a decision that's not the same as your husband, do that. And no one's going to know. This is the thing. No one is going to know. And I know that's scary. I've been there. And whenever you're out for a meal, maybe they're always on their phone, even call others. That makes you feel like a nobody. Yes. He would, so my ex, and this is very typical of narcissists, is he would help a stranger and abandon his family to do so. I felt like a single mom for a lot of years. And let me, I don't know, for me, it was okay. It was okay. So happy to finally catch you live. Oh, hi, Tracy. I'm glad you're here. Glad to hear you on YouTube. Oh, thank you. Yes. And if you do go to YouTube, please subscribe and hit like and comments and do all the things. Because if you guys don't do that, then YouTube or anything like on this, if you don't hit the buttons to say like you like it or your comment or anything like that, the algorithm doesn't know and won't push it out to anybody else. I love me and I'm proud of me. I'm happy I can be me. I don't care about another relationship. If it happens, that's great, but happy doing what I want whenever I want. I know. Thank you for sharing. You're welcome. Listen, I know. I never want to hear you can trust me. Yeah, really. Um, somebody said you are so right. I don't know what it was for, but thank you. Okay, so here's my second thing that I tried. So the first one was don't comment on anything he says. Second one was do minimal talking, which okay, so do minimal talking was different than, don't comment on anything he says. So if he said the sky is red, I would not comment on that. Um, or green or something, I wouldn't comment on that. Do minimal talking was really me just not even saying like, oh, today I had a good day or today I had a bad day or whatever. He made it very clear the last 2 years of our marriage, which was the pandemic. So really 2021, I'm sorry, 2020, 2021, 2022. So kind of 3 years, but the last couple of years, the last 2 years of the pandemic or the 2 years of the pandemic, he really was devaluing me and discarding me, full discard. And how I know that is he made a sweeping announcement that he wasn't going to have sex with me anymore. And it's like, what? And so he said, if I wanted it, I had to ask for it. Okay. What? And to me, it was so confusing. And looking back, it made me so upset, but I felt like I was drowning and I couldn't find a way to like I was hanging on with a life preserver in the ocean and there was no way to get to him and he was on the boat and he wouldn't let me on the boat. That's how I felt for those last 2 years. And when he said that, it was like I could just tell. I told him, I said, why? And he said, because he didn't want to be told no and it would hurt his feelings. I'm like, okay. And this is the thing that abusers don't understand. Abusers treat you like crap all day. They use coercive control all day long. And then when they want to be intimate, it doesn't feel safe either. So I said no a lot because it was unsafe or it felt unsafe. And so, and then, of course you say yes because you, survival. You say yes, even if you don't want to, because you don't want to cause a fight. And, that's just all of its abuse. He told me that he'll talk to me once I lose 10 kilograms. Oh, nice. He gave me silent treatment until I lost the weight. After that, it got worse. He refused to acknowledge my existence in the room. Yeah. So, so think about the goalposts, for like a touchdown, right? The goalposts will keep getting moved. So imagine like you run across to make a touchdown and they go, oh no, really, the line was supposed to be over here. They will never acknowledge that you made it. And also as we're healing, I understand why he said if you lose 10 kilograms, I will love you more or whatever, right? Or I'll talk to you again, which is horrible. I understand why you did it. Um, but we don't need to live in a world like that anymore where we have to do those things. There shouldn't be conditions on basic human decency. He wouldn't even talk to you. Like there shouldn't be that. You're so right about the goalposts. Yeah. And then for anybody who's my age, if you know Charlie Brown and Lucy, Lucy always held the football and Charlie Brown always went to kick it. And Charlie Brown or Lucy always pulled the football away. And that is what a narcissist does. Like, no, I'm serious. Here, I'm going to hold it. I swear I'm going to let you kick it this time. And they always pull it away. So you can never meet their goals. You can never meet their needs. You can never meet their requirements. I would tell him, you have expectations that you don't tell me what they are. And then when I haven't met them, you tell me I didn't meet them. And I wish you would tell me what the expectations are. And he would say, well, you should already know what they are. So gaslighting, you should already know what they are. And if you don't know what my expectations are, then I guess you are not very self-aware and you need to do some work on yourself. So years of that sent me to therapy, and that's where I found my voice. So yay. I'm sorry for what you went through being so devalued while listening to pieces of your life. I so love and appreciate your honest, helpful, funny channel. Thank you. Yeah, we need the humor. I'm funny in general. I like to laugh, and I will forever make fun of my ex and his new wife. And then one day I will have her on my podcast when she's ready to leave him and she wakes up from the circus. I hope she wakes up sooner than I did. Unset expectations not being met. Yeah, they're all the same. I know. It's so crazy. And it's on purpose. It's wild to me how they're all the same. So I just wonder about the brain. The brain is so fascinating to me, but that's why we can talk about this, because we've all had similar experiences. And so then we can talk about it, see the red flags and how to heal ourselves so we can move forward. Okay, so the next thing I tried in my marriage, the first one was don't comment on anything he says, do minimal talking, and then be agreeable. He would get so mad if I said, well, I don't really believe that. I think it's this, or this is the way I think, which in any normal, healthy relationship, you're allowed to do that, but not with a narcissist. And I do call him a narcissist if you listen to I don't know, I've talked about it on multiple episodes, but my first episode, I wasn't quite sure how to break down a narcissist. So my first episode is not exactly right, but that's okay. I've learned since then. It's been 2 years since I've been doing the podcast, and it's been 3 years since I've been dealing with this. So I call him a narcissist because he has all of the characteristics of a narcissist. And I will, for the rest of my life, call him a narcissist because other than getting diagnosed, he's a narcissist. So be agreeable. It's so ridiculous. Any relationship that you have that's healthy, you don't have to be agreeable. Doesn't mean you should always be fighting with each other, but I'm just saying, like, you're allowed to say, if he says, like, I I can't even think of anything, but let's make something up. Like, this is the best hike we have ever been on in our whole life. And I would probably say, like, no, that one that we did in Oregon, oh, that was my favorite. He would get mad. I couldn't disagree with him because they're little stupid babies who don't know how to manage their own emotions and they need you to do it. So just think about anything, anything. I wanted to be agreeable. It didn't matter though, because even if I was agreeable, there was a problem. All right, here's the next one. Share my real thoughts with everyone but him. So sad. So he told me that if I wanted to talk about certain things, I wasn't allowed to talk to him about it. And of course, if we're working on being agreeable, doing minimal talking, and don't comment on anything he says, of course, I'm going to share my real thoughts and feelings with other people. And so thankfully, I did have friends with that I would do that with. But I also learned that this wasn't just in my marriage. There were other places around me that made me feel like what I have to say is not important. So it doesn't matter. It's all about control. Yes, every single thing. My husband always made out like I'm disagreeable too. Yeah, I spent years ashamed and confused, right? Because I tried so hard and he was so cruel. One day I finally turned around and said, it's you. Yes, finish the rest of that. Yes, Yeah, and said it's you. Oh my gosh. I don't know. You are the black hole sucking in all the light. Oh my God, I love that. Yeah. The funny thing is that after we decided to get a divorce, I was like, I couldn't even believe that I said I wanted a divorce. And so I was so focused. I was a woman on a mission to get divorced. And I didn't know I was in abuse, but I was so low, like so low. And I remember he was telling me a story. He always, like, he would come home from work and he would start telling me a story. And he would always have stories about everybody in the whole wide world. And I would listen intently in hopes that one day he would listen to my stories. So he was telling a story, and I put my hand up and I said, "Excuse me, I don't care." And he's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I go, "Oh, I've never cared about these stupid stories. And I sure don't have to care now because we're getting a divorce. So I don't care about so and so and their new car. I don't care about so and so and whatever. Don't care." And I walked away, and he yelled at me from across the room saying, "I can't believe you. What kind of a person are you?" And this was my first indication that what I was doing and who I was becoming was the same. Or sorry, I saw that in the comments. Was I was becoming a new person. Let me say this again. So that this was my first indication that who I was becoming, who I was changing into, the things I was really starting to want for me were starting to come out. Was I scared that I did that? Yes, but also, oh my gosh, it was so freeing to go, I don't care. I literally don't care what you have to say. And I just put up my hand and was like, let me stop you. Don't care. And he was so mad. I was never in physical danger, so it was okay. I could do that. Don't do that if they're physically abusive to you. And really don't talk about that you want to leave, because that it might get worse. Yours did the same thing. Yeah, because they're all the same. Okay, so the next one is okay, same thing. Do my talking, commenting, and disagreeing with other people. Oh, poor 2021 Laura. She was so sad. I would finally be able to tell him about my day, and he would interrupt me and start talking about himself again. Well, yes. Listen, if it comes from emotional neglect, this is a caveat. We can understand why they're this way. We do not have to agree with it or put up with it. Okay. Do I understand how he became this person? Yes. His mother is the queen narcissist and formed a nest of narcissists. Got it. Is it okay who he is? No, because did I have some things in my childhood? Sure. I decided not to abuse people in my life. I decided to go to therapy and heal myself and figure out. I literally said to myself when I was in my 30s, I think, and said, how do people walk around happy? Is that allowed? How do people do it? Now, I didn't know I was in abuse. And that was the beginning of like me starting to understand boundaries, loving myself, all this stuff. Now, I didn't set really healthy boundaries until much later, but that was the beginning of me wanting to understand, how are people happy? I didn't get it. Amen. Thank you. So this is so sad to do my talking, commenting, and disagreeing with other people. That's just ridiculous. Like, because you don't want them to get upset with you. You can't disagree. Look, just because they tell us our thoughts and comments and who we are as a person is not worth anything, worth paying attention to. That doesn't mean that we're not worth paying attention to. Doesn't mean we were not worthy of love. Doesn't mean any of those things. It means we were asking the wrong person. Okay. And if you have any kind of spirituality in you, any kind of God or anything, your other being, God or anything like that already loves you without you doing anything. So I kind of lived off of that when I first got divorced. I'm like, I'm going to figure out who God says I am. I already thought I knew, but because I was in such abuse and such a fog from the abuse, I didn't really know and I didn't really believe it. So that's what my mission was to start believing it. Okay, so now these are 5 strategies that do work, but they might not save your relationship. They sure didn't save mine. But you know what it did? It saved me. So these 5 strategies are going to save you. They may not save the relationship. Loving yourself first. Societally, especially women, we are taught that if you put yourself first, if you say anything about yourself, you're selfish. And it's societally, we are shown that that means there's a problem, that you're a difficult person. Anybody, usually, men, it's usually like they're powerful and things like that, and it's expected. But women were taught that you're selfish and all those things. And so learned that loving myself first wasn't a bad thing. And it's not a bad thing because let me tell you, when love yourself first, what you exude into the world, what you overflow into the world is beauty and love. So just don't listen to the people. Well, okay, listen to the people who are having a problem with you loving yourself first, who are saying, "Oh, you're setting boundaries," or "Wait, what is that? Is that a boundary?" Those people probably benefited from you not having any boundaries. So think about that. I do have a story for that because my next one is setting clear boundaries, setting not only clear boundaries, but healthy boundaries. So remember, when we set boundaries, we don't tell others what to do. As a former people pleaser, that was horrifying to me to think, I'm going to tell somebody what to do. You can kind of tell them. So I had a really good friend that I said, I don't like it that you have a relationship with my ex. And so if your relationship with my ex continues, our relationship ends immediately. And this is how little I ever set boundaries with her. She said, that sounds like a threat. And I said, no, that's a boundary. And it's very, it's like they get defensive because they benefited from you not having any boundaries. So now let me tell you the rest of that story. She said, no, I never would. I never would continue a relationship with him. I don't want to be friendly with him. That I know that will hurt you. So then later, I found out that she did, in fact, continue the friendly relationship with my ex. So I didn't go to her because that's not how we set boundaries. I did me. I unfriended and all that stuff. And that was it. I did what I said I would do, that our friendship would end immediately. And it did. And so listen, this is how it is. Everybody can do whatever they want. You don't have to participate. You don't have to participate. Everybody can do whatever they want. They can walk around this world being big old dickheads. You do not have to be part of their life. So just remember that. Same thing, like, say, when you're going to around, like, say, the holidays with the family, something like that. Family boundaries are really hard. But if you do have a relationship with your family and there are boundaries you feel like you need to set, just remember you might say at some point, I think I'm only gonna stay a couple of hours and then I'm gonna go. If you feel like you want to stay longer, go ahead. If not, you feel like you're uncomfortable, you feel like people aren't meeting, they're not um they're not stopping, like, say, commenting on your food or your body or your whatever, or God, you brought a pie from the store rather than making homemade things like that. Look, those aren't the reasons that you stop having a relationship with somebody, but they just imagine, just like every little drip eventually, it's a death by 1,000 cuts. It's the boiling frog, all those things. So it's exhausting. So if they don't stop, you can stop. You can move on. You can move to and say, look, I'm gonna head out. This was, that's my limit, or whatever you say. You can just say, oh, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and kiss everybody goodbye and leave. That's just and but remember, people who benefited from you not having boundaries are gonna have a problem with that. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Okay, the next thing I did, what did I say to this was? Okay, 5 strategies that do work, but might not save the relationship. The next one is going to therapy for yourself. We never go to therapy if we're in an abusive relationship because, number one, they're telling us on a silver platter that they're not going to change. Narcissists won't change. Okay. Just bottom line, they won't change unless there are some self-aware narcissists on the internet who say they do change as far as they do really good therapy to continue to change so that they because they've lost everything in their life and they want to change. But if they are not willing to work on themselves, and my ex on a silver platter said, I don't have anything to work on. If you have a problem with me, you need to go to therapy. I believe that. I did because I was so brainwashed. And so I said, okay. So I did. And that's where I found my voice. And that's how I eventually got out. So go to therapy for yourself because we can't change anyone around us, but we can change ourselves. That's the only person we can change is ourselves. You learn how to love yourself. You learn how to set boundaries. You learn what you want in this world. You learn that, you know what? If I have to spend 40 more years with this loser, I'm not going to make it. And that's how I got out. I didn't say like, is he a narcissist? It doesn't matter if he's a narcissist. Do not try to check any boxes. All you need to say to yourself is, if I had to do this for 40 more years, could I do it? I couldn't. I couldn't do it. So that's how I decided to be done. Of course, you can listen to this on my podcast. Also, if you go to my website and you click on guest episodes, you'll be able to see all the episodes of podcasts I've been on. And then also, if you just go to episode or what is it called? Podcast links, you'll be able to see all the episodes that are up now to all the episodes I've done, interviewing people, talking about my stories and stuff like that. In my state, we have to be legally separated for 1 year. I'm 6 months in. It feels like torture. Yes. I want this to be over. I'm ready to start my new life. Yes. I completely understand. I don't live in a state with that, but I have to say, I think being separated for a short time would have given me some clarity. Though I don't know if he would have been messing around with his girlfriend or not. I'm not really sure. Not sure how that would have worked, but I don't want to worry about that. So Tracy, while you're waiting, please do research. I have tons of resources on my website, tons of people who can help you get ready for when it's time for the divorce. So that way you don't get hoovered back in, you don't get gaslit into going back and things like that, or giving up anything you don't want to give up. So please do that. I was a guest on the show, How Not to Suck at Divorce. And it's on my website under guest spots or something like that. I think that's what I call it. And it's called How Not to Suck at Divorce. They were great. I actually learned a lot. And I learned that I did my divorce wrong. Live and learn. I know I can't face another 24 years. I have known he's a narcissist for a few years. First couple of those years, I still tried and hoped. I guess you will understand how that went. Yes, of course. I was dying of hunger from breadcrumbs and hope. You're welcome, Tracy. Yeah, guys, I have tons of resources and like my current guest, I put her information up there. So I have, listen, I do not make it hard for you in the show notes, in the YouTube notes, everywhere on my website. Every time I do something, I make it clickable. Go to my bio in my Instagram, go to my bio anywhere. Guys, I don't make it hard. Go play with my website. I have so many good things on there for you. I have freebies. I have self-guided coaching. I have one-on-one coaching. I have group coaching. I have so many things. You do not have to wait to start your healing. We can go at your own pace, but listen, don't wait to start your healing. The better that you do it, it's better to do it now. Don't wait to start your healing. The sooner the better. Okay, so if this is pertains to you, the next thing I did that was helpful was I named it narcissism when I understood that it was narcissism. And the reason is because now I know how to heal. So so let me tell you when I figured out he was a narcissist. So after we got divorced, a couple of months after, before I found out about the girlfriend, I was starting to see things about narcissistic abuse. And the reason is I sort of heard the word gaslighting, but I wasn't sure what it was. So I started to research that. Well, of course, the internet will give you what you want. The algorithm will feed you. So I started to see, and I saw Jimmy on relationships. If you don't follow him, my God, do it. Jimmy on relationships. He's everywhere. His video on narcissistic abuse. on I think it's like a first date, and it was talking about, hey, this is not the one that I saw, because he has one that says, hey, I'm a narcissist. Not that one. It's the one before that where it's like a first date thing. I watched it and my whole life changed. I said, oh my God, this is what's been happening to me. So once I figured out that it was narcissism, then I was like, oh, so I started to understand. I started to research it. Okay, now we get to another month. So all of this is happening in a 3 month period. And I find out about the girlfriend, but she wasn't a new girlfriend. She had always been there. I suspected they were together. They were, we're just friends. All those lies. And now I had like a lightning flash. I had the blindfold got ripped off. I had like a beautiful mind thing happening, and I understood everything. Did that make me feel better right away? No, but I understood it all. Yes, love Jimmy in that video too. Yeah, it's so good. It just really puts it out there and really helps you understand why the girlfriend, why finding out about the girlfriend really opened my eyes fully was because what it showed me was he's been lying the whole time. Such a betrayal. So, this is what I learned. When I found out about the girlfriend, I felt thrown away like trash because as I started doing research, because my ex-husband didn't always tell the truth, you become the world's best detective. So, as I started doing research, they were together immediately. And actually, I found out recently they were together before that. I can laugh about it now. um, so then that's part of why I don't have any empathy for her, because you made this bed. Go ahead and lie in it. So when I found out, I thought, oh, he's been lying this whole time. Just because he threw me away like trash, or I felt like he threw me away like trash, does not mean I am trash. That's what I had to learn. That's why naming it as narcissism or whatever you went through, if you had sexual abuse, like childhood sexual abuse, whatever, things like that, name it what it is so you know how to heal. You can find people who will tell you how to heal. My now ex-husband had two other legal wives and kids simultaneously. Oh my gosh. It's so crazy. So I learned that he was doing what he was doing. I'm telling you, every single thing, but my life flashed before my eyes. And I'll tell you, it was game on after that. I woke up. This Laura woke up. I was not this Laura before December 28th, 2022. I was a completely different person. That day, the the lioness came out and was like, never will I say one nice thing about him ever again. Never. You won't hear it come out of my mouth. Do not care that people tell me we spent 33 years together. Don't care, because I can look back to abuse our whole marriage. I know he was screwing around. That she wasn't the first one. And it's so funny because I did a video and I was like talking to her like this. I was like, you think you're the only one? Oh, you're so precious. You think you were the only one? You think you're special? Ah, you're precious. She wasn't the only one. She wasn't the first one. Exhausting. Okay. He confessed to me about the girlfriend. I have proof. He's so screwed. So, Tracy, you don't have to tell us, but I know that in some states that if you can prove infidelity, you can get divorced faster. Like you don't have to wait the year separation. So, anyway, some states do that. One in Spring Hill, Florida, and the other in Panama City, Panama. Oh my gosh. God bless America. So, anyway, if his current wife ever watches, I'm just like, "Aw, you think you're special." I love that. It's so cute the way you think you're special. You weren't the only one, girl. I had to fight him over a lot of other ones. And that's because I had no self-esteem and no boundaries. So this Laura doesn't do that anymore. Okay. Next thing that I did another strategy that I did that works, but doesn't save the necessarily save the relationship is leaving even when it hurts. And then you in Poland, oh my gosh. So, leaving even when it hurts, we can't wait to be ready to leave. Okay. That's part of the trauma bond. The trauma bond is the chemical reaction that your brain has when your abuser is also the person who's soothing you. Okay. So, a chemical reaction actually happens when we get chemically bonded to them. That's why it's so hard to leave. Why did I stay 33 years? For fun? No, because I was chemically bonded to him. To me, he was my person. It didn't make sense to me when he was with somebody else. My brain, I had to talk to my brain, I had to journal about this. My brain, we would be doing things, I would be doing things in the house, and my brain would go, "Hey, don't we have a husband?" And I'd have to say out loud, "No, brain, we don't have a husband. We no longer have a husband. He's with somebody else or whatever." You have to reprogram your brain. So we have neural pathways as we're thinking about things. Whenever you say, "I'm not good at something, I'm not good at technology, I just don't know how to eat well," or whatever the thing is. Think about the thing. "I'm just not great at sports," things like that. Your neural pathways like lock into place. I always, they lock into place. And I always imagine little people like little creatures and they're going, "Guys, we're not good at technology." And everybody says, "Okay," and we're not good at it. So you can rewire that and you can form new neural pathways. So you have to tell yourself, "I am worthy." Just because he threw me away like trash doesn't mean I am trash. I'm actually worthy. I'm actually lovable. I was just asking the wrong person. I'm a great person, etc. Like say whatever it is and do it in the mirror if you can, and also write it out and then wake up and be grateful for things. I'm grateful that today my body got me out of bed, and I'm grateful that there are resources for me to use to help me heal. Like say the gratitude thing that like takes it up another notch. After confronting him, he packed his travel bag and went to work. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I just think about things like all the years he worked late. Oh, he's a senior captain for Delta. Ugh. Yeah, I always think about those things. It's terrible. I don't like that, but I don't want to have those thoughts, but man, we do. So leaving even when it hurts, even when you're in a trauma bond, just because it hurts, just because it feels wrong, just because you feel like it's not the right thing to do, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It's just your body reacting, and you are, just because you're scared doesn't mean it's the wrong decision. So just think about that. Turns out I'm pretty good at fixing things around the house. Yeah, exactly. I know I was putting something up in our laundry room and my son goes, "Mom, do you know how to do that?" And I just looked at him and I said, I was the one who did everything around the house, right? It's like so crazy to me. Even my dad, after we got divorced, my dad said, "Are you going to be okay?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I don't know. I was kind of worried about you." I said, You should worry about him. I know how to do everything. I ran an entire household without him." But that's how much he had everyone fooled, that he was the best and I was the problem. I was like incapable of doing anything, ditched me and our daughter, flew off, hasn't come back, left everything, including $90,000 in debt. Of course he did. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry about that. Really sorry. So, oh my gosh. So those were all my things. So those were the things I tried that didn't work, and the things I tried that did work but didn't save the relationship. And they're not meant to save the relationship. If you're in an abusive relationship, you don't want to save the relationship because they won't change. They may be love bombing you and feeding you breadcrumbs for a little while, and you may think things are okay, but it won't last. There was somebody I was listening to, and they said to their therapist, I think, "I'm going to give my husband 6 more months. And then, if it doesn't change, I'm going to get a divorce." And the therapist said, "Okay, I'll just tell you right now, you're not going to need 6 months." And she said, "Well, why?" And the therapist said, "They can't last that long. So they can make a change. It might last a month or 2 months, but they can't make the real change. And eventually it breaks down." Yeah, it sounds familiar. I feel so much better and healthier without my ex. I know. Amazing. Amazing how I'm not an angry person. Amazing how I walk through this life with joy and I actually make decisions. Is it scary to make your own decisions? Yes. Was it scary to rent my own place by myself? Sure. Doesn't mean it was the wrong decision. It means I have peace in my house. I don't have some man and I got to decorate it however I want. The first thing I said was, I'm going to decorate my whole living room in a beach theme. So I have blues and grays and sand colors. And I'm so happy with it. I don't have to decide. I could just come in here. The wall was already painted green because I rent. I already had this painting. Everything worked out. I just bought it. I mean, everything just worked out. Not only that, I wanted it to, and it's okay. Like things don't have to be perfect. They just have to be without him. And peaceful. Covert narcissist once discovered runs like Speedy Gonzalez. Oh my gosh, yes. No, seriously. So if you guys haven't seen, of course, on my website too, my book is Married to a quote unquote nice guy. I'm going to put it up here too. Married to a Nice Guy, and it's on my website and everything else. You guys, I tell you, go to all my links. It's my story of getting a divorce, what I went through, my journals, how to heal, what the narcissist does. It's just my own personal story. I really wanted to write it and talk about things. And I know I missed a few things in there, but I don't care. I just really wanted to get the story out. I love the cover, love the title. I worked with somebody on that and so really happy with how it turned out. And I know that you guys can relate to the nice guy, especially if you had a covert narcissist. So thank you so much for being here. New episode is out today. This video will go live into the newsfeed, and of course, it will go on Zoom as well. I'm sorry, it will go on YouTube. I'm recording on Zoom. It will go on YouTube, and so you'll be able to watch it again if you want. Of course, the all the comments and stuff won't be there, but Instagram, fix that. Leave our comments up during a live. And so if you have any questions or anything, you guys can always DM. You can sign up for a free call to chat to see if we should work together. Come to my Saturday Zooms. We're going to see how long I can do those because have some life changes going on. So I don't know how long I can do those. So you guys, thank you so much for being here, for participating. I always appreciate it. New episode out today. Um, Apple, Spotify, all the platforms, and YouTube. So don't miss it. I have a really good episode today. I love Heidi. She's amazing. And she's the comeback coach, the divorce comeback coach. So great episode. So I hope you guys will check it out. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate. Oh, if you go to YouTube, you can see my heart hands and all the hearts blew out of it. Thanks again, you guys. Talk to you later.